Clear explanations, practical tips, and real workflows you can start using today. Imagine watching your favorite animated movie, then finding out every single character was voiced by the same person. Sounds impossible, right? Big studios hire entire teams of voice actors because every character needs their own personality, tone, and style. But today, I'm going to try something completely different. I'm recording this entire project using nothing but my own voice. Then I'm going to let AI completely recast every role. No extra actors, no expensive recording sessions, no trying to force myself to sound like 5 different people. Just one microphone, one performance, and one AI tool. If this actually works, it could completely change how solo creators make YouTube videos, animations, podcasts, and even indie games. So let's see if one person can become an entire cast. This video is sponsored by Fish Audio. Instead of making another traditional software review, I wanted to do something that actually pushes the tool. Because let's be honest, most AI videos follow the exact same formula. Open the website, click a few buttons, play a demo, say it sounds good, end the video. That doesn't tell you what it's actually like to use the tool in a real creative workflow. So today I gave myself a challenge. Can I build an entire conversation using only my own voice, then transform every character into someone completely different using Fish Audio's new AI voice changer? By the end of this video, I'll reveal how every single voice was created. And honestly, some of the results surprised even me. If you've ever created content, you've probably run into this problem. Maybe you're making an animation, a skit, a documentary, a game, or even just a YouTube video. Sooner or later, you realize you need another voice. Maybe a narrator, maybe a villain, maybe someone older, maybe someone younger. Unless you're an experienced voice actor, that's usually where things become difficult. You either spend hours trying to imitate different voices, or you ask someone else to record them. Both options take time. And for solo creators, time is usually the most limited resource. That's exactly why I wanted to see if Fish Audio could simplify that process. Every story starts with a narrator, so I recorded my first lines exactly the way I normally speak. No exaggerated acting, no fake deep voice, just natural conversation. Then I uploaded the recording into Fish Audio's voice changer. Instead of generating completely new speech, it transformed the recording I'd already made. A few moments later, the exact same performance sounded like it belonged in a professional documentary. The pacing stayed the same. The pauses stayed the same. Even the little moments where I naturally slowed down were still there. The difference was simply who appeared to be speaking. That was my first moment of thinking.
Then I want to sleep tonight.
Okay, this is actually pretty impressive. Now let's make things much harder. Every story needs someone who sounds intimidating. Normally, I can't produce that deep cinematic villain voice without sounding like I'm trying way too hard. So instead of forcing it, I focused entirely on acting. I delivered the lines with confidence. I imagined the character. I paid attention to the emotion. Then I let Fish Audio transform the recording afterward.
I want to go to school tomorrow. Then I want to sleep tonight.
The result didn't sound like me pretending to be a villain. It sounded like an entirely different actor delivering my performance. That distinction is really important because instead of replacing your acting, the tool preserves it. Your timing, your pauses, your delivery. Only the voice itself changes. For storytelling, that's incredibly powerful. Something unexpected happened while making this video. Normally, when you're trying to perform several characters yourself, your brain is split between 2 jobs. First, you're trying to act. Second, you're constantly thinking, does this voice sound different enough? Should I make it deeper? Can I remember exactly how character 1 sounded 20 minutes ago? It's surprisingly exhausting. This experiment completely changed that. I stopped worrying about sounding different. Instead, I focused only on delivering a believable performance. The emotion, the pacing, the pauses, the personality. Everything else happened afterward. That actually made recording much more enjoyable. Instead of trying to become 5 different people, I simply concentrated on becoming one better performer. And honestly, I think the final result benefited because of that. For the next character, I wanted something much more conversational. Imagine you're listening to your favorite podcast. The host isn't trying to sound dramatic. They're relaxed, comfortable, natural. So I recorded another section exactly that way. Then I transformed it into a completely different voice. What surprised me most wasn't how different the voice sounded. It was how natural the conversation still felt. The rhythm stayed intact. The pauses stayed intact. It didn't feel like AI was reading a script. It felt like another person had recorded exactly the same conversation.
You know what's interesting? What's that? The conversation still feels completely natural.
And that's a very different experience from traditional text-to-speech. Now it was time to completely change the mood. Instead of someone calm and professional, I wanted a character that sounded energetic. The kind of person who talks fast because they're genuinely excited about everything happening on screen. If you've watched gaming creators or live streamers, you know exactly the type of personality I'm talking about. Lots of energy, fast reactions, big emotions. Normally, creating that kind of character means either finding another voice actor or trying to force your own voice into a style that doesn't feel natural. So once again, I recorded everything using my normal speaking voice. No fake impressions, no shouting, no exaggerated performance. I simply delivered the lines with enthusiasm. After running the recording through Fish Audio's voice changer, it felt like an entirely different creator was speaking.
Wait, what? There's no way that actually worked. Chat, are you seeing this right now? This is amazing.
That's when I started thinking about this tool differently. It isn't just changing voices, it's giving you the freedom to experiment. Imagine finishing an entire video and then asking yourself, what if this narrator sounded younger? What if this introduction felt more energetic? What if this character had a completely different personality? Instead of recording everything again, you can simply explore different creative directions. For anyone who edits videos, that's a huge advantage. For the final character, I wanted to do something completely unexpected. Instead of choosing a voice similar to my own, I decided to browse Fish Audio's massive community voice library and intentionally pick something I would never normally use. The goal wasn't realism. The goal was creativity. A few seconds later, the transformation was complete. When I pressed play, I actually laughed, not because it sounded bad, but because it sounded like somebody else had walked into the room and continued my sentence. Same timing, same pauses, same performance, completely different identity.
That doesn't even sound like me anymore. Same words, same timing, just a completely different identity.
That moment made me realize something. Voice Changer isn't trying to replace creativity. It's giving creators another creative decision after the recording is already finished. Usually once you've recorded your voice, that's it. Your options are limited. Now, your recording becomes the starting point instead of the final result. So here's the answer. Every single character you've heard throughout this video, the narrator, the villain, the podcast host, the energetic streamer, the mystery character, all of them, started from exactly the same person. Me, one microphone, one recording session, one performer, everything else happened afterward. And honestly, if I hadn't made this video myself, I don't think I would have guessed that all of those voices came from one original recording. That completely changed my expectations. When I first heard AI Voice Changer, I assumed it was just another fun feature for making memes or funny videos. After actually using it, I realized it's much more practical than that. Here's something I wasn't expecting. Before this experiment, I always thought voice recording happened at the very end of production. You write the script, record it, edit it, done. But using Voice Changer made me think differently. Now the recording isn't necessarily the final version, it's the foundation. You can still make creative decisions after you've finished recording. That's a completely different editing workflow. Instead of worrying about whether today's recording session was perfect, you can focus on telling the story, then experiment with different voices during editing until everything feels right. As a creator, that's incredibly freeing. The more I thought about it, the more real-world situations came to mind. Imagine you're making an animated short by yourself. Instead of hiring several voice actors for an early version, you can create multiple unique characters from one performance and focus on developing the story first. If you're a YouTuber, maybe you finish editing and realize the narration doesn't match the mood of the video. Instead of setting up your microphone again and trying to recreate the same energy, you can explore another voice while keeping the same performance. Podcast creators could use it to experiment with storytelling formats or fictional conversations. Game developers could quickly prototype dialogue for an entire cast before bringing in professional actors. Even educators could introduce different narrator personalities to make lessons feel more engaging without recording every section from scratch. And one use case I didn't think about at first is privacy. Not everyone wants to use their real voice online. Some creators simply prefer keeping their personal identity separate from their content. Voice Changer gives them another option without sacrificing natural speech or expressive delivery. When AI tools first became popular, everyone asked the same question. Will AI replace creators? After making this video, I think that's the wrong question. The better question is, can AI help one creator do the work of 5? After today's experiment, I genuinely think the answer is yes. Not because AI replaced the performance, but because it gave a single performance far more creative possibilities. That's what impressed me most about Fish Audio's Voice Changer. It doesn't ask you to stop being creative. It gives you more ways to express that creativity after you've already hit record. If you'd like to try it yourself, you'll find my affiliate link along with any available promo code in the description below. A huge thanks to Fish Audio for sponsoring today's video. And now I have one last question for you. Out of all 5 characters, which one would you actually use in your own project? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this experiment and want to see more AI tools tested in real creative workflows, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.